Alright, the last one from this problem set is the spacer arm. It is in metric. We do have this tolerance board hole. Again, in terms of creating the drawing later, by going with the high end or the small end of the tolerance would make this easier in terms of tolerancing the hole. We do have a drilled hole that is tapped. Our hole tool here works really well. Metric is a lot easier than inches also. So we're just inputting some dimension. It does go all the way through. We have a 1070 drill, and then we'll run the tap through it, which is a 12 by 1.5. Sorry, 12 by 175. So this actually becomes very easy. We are going to show this as being detailed. I think we're going to show the threads on it. Tangent line construction, cut in, cut the back, or raised boss. We have some fillets on it. Here we go. So we're going to end up showing this hole as having the threads cut into it, which is an option when we go to create this. Machine surfaces, and this hole was machined. So let's go with a new metric part. So we have an inside bore, we have an outside, and then somewhere over here we have the threaded hole with this outside radius. I can actually cut the holes into this one ahead of time, and I'm going to set up my line for tangency. Let's add some dimensions before we go much further and mirror this. So this outside radius is 32, so 32 times 2, and I'm going to use the small end, so 1587 for the center bore. The distance from center to center is 76, and this has an outside radius of 21, so 42. I already have a line of tangency. I can now mirror this. And I have two small holes that I'm going to put in right now, just to keep them vertically aligned. The distance from this center to this center is 38 and 13 millimeters from the center. I can mirror that. I'm going to leave this hole closed. Actually, let's put it in. It's 1070. 10.7. I'm going to go with the overall width, which is 38, and then cut in instead of coming back and adding sections. But 38 is to the raised boss. So I need what? 17 plus 8 plus 8. And I can manually type that in. 17 plus 8 plus 8. So that gives me an overall thickness of 33. So the top of the raised boss is 38, so I'm just going to add 5. Alright. So inner bore, outer diameter for the boss, 32 millimeters. I'm going to raise it up 5. So now I have an overall width of 38. Now let's start cutting in. So if I create a rectangle, I'm going to make my first cut. And this distance is 28. So it's 24 to the first one. So 24 plus 28. From the center to this center, sorry, to this edge that's here is 24. Let's just lay this out. So from here to here is 24. And then from here to here is 28. Got it. I can only cut one depth at a time, so I'm just going to subtract 8 for the first cut, and then another rectangle. I now have a point of reference that this is 28, and we'll cut this another 8 millimeters, and then to the back. And I have a distance of 17 from this center to this edge. I'm going to cut this all 8 millimeters. I'm going to check here. Is this distance from here to here 25? It is. Threaded hole. So this time, yes, it's a drilled hole, but it's also tapped. I'm going to reference this surface, and I'm going to center it. Alright, so the dimensions on the hole. It's going all the way through. Drill point angle isn't going to matter. Diameter is grayed out because it's based on the tap size, and we are in metric. So what designation? We have an M12. Why can't I change to an M12? There we go. 12. M12. 175. Rough 6. Modeled. Right hand threads. Why can't I cut that? I knew there was a reason why I didn't cut that hole the first time. Let's leave that hole out. Let's try that again. Tapped on this surface. I want to reference the center because they are concentric. I'm going to go with a 12 millimeter, 175, 6 modeled. The modeling shows you the threads. There we go. I knew there was a reason we filled that hole in. Fillets. We have casting fillets that are radius of 3. Should be it because everything else is machined. And we know that it is a form of iron and cast. Machine surfaces. The threaded hole is machined, and there's actually 3 faces on this threaded hole. The insides of the threads, the bore diameter, and the back side of the threads. And now it's just surfaces and holes. Surface, holes are always machined. machine face on the boss. There we go. So there are actually 3 surfaces on the threaded hole.